Uh,
How's it going?
Good. Thank you for doing this.
What's up, Harlan?
Yeah.
Sure. What are we doing?
We have an interview. So, what do you think is like your style of management?
That's a great question. Um, at least the style that I try to use is probably one of more empowerment and delegation. And so making sure that folks kind of are clear in terms of what they're supposed to be doing, have the things they need to do what they need to do, and then especially give them just the freedom to do what I've asked them to do.
How do you decide what to delegate and what job goes to which person?
Um, yeah, so that's you know, again, good question. So before I think about like delegating specific things to specific people, really think about kind of what needs to be delegated from me to somebody else, or not, as the case may be. And then from a kind of allocation perspective in terms of what gets delegated and to whom, um, skill sets, not only current, but kind of skill sets that need to be developed, or new skills that need to be developed. I think it's important to give folks a shot at doing something new that may be a year to multiple years off from their current role, but give them some experience with the new or the unknown. And then also from a timing perspective, um, what sort of fuse we have on something. I mean, if it's a quick turnaround, it's kind of unrealistic to ask somebody that's never done it before to do it and do it well and do it quickly. Um, and then also, I mean, we try to keep kind of a relatively level playing field. And so, one of the things that our team prides itself on doing is just everybody's willing to do the dirty work, right? And so there is an aspect of just bandwidth and availability. If you're not busy, a willingness to do things that may just be simple and kind of below your kind of your title, so to speak, goes a long way.
So, how do you keep performance up while also trying to introduce people to new jobs and opportunities?
Yeah, we do a lot of kind of call it like a pre-brief and then a debrief, especially on investments. And so what going into kind of a new investment, who's going to be doing what, kind of what the expected sort of timeline looks like, what the potential pitfalls and kind of due diligence process needs to include. And then we do a debrief, and the debrief is after the investment's been made. What did we get right in terms of our underwriting and investment thesis, but more importantly, what did individuals on the team as well as the team in total do well? And we spent a lot of time thinking about what we didn't do well and whether we had control over it or whether it was just something that was outside of our control.
What does it look like for you working with other people in management positions who might not be in like the same office?
Yeah, I think it's relatively easy. So we have people in 10 different countries, 15 different time zones. I think five or six different native languages. And so when you talk about remote work, I mean, it couldn't get more kind of fragmented in terms of the remote nature of our executive team. And I think the thing that really ties it all together is just a super high level of trust and respect. And so everybody's really different. I know for a fact we all wouldn't be kind of really close friends outside the office, and that's okay. But I think there's a very real and kind of palpable level of respect for one another. And so when we give each other constructive criticism and feedback, we can take it and use it wisely and not get our feelings hurt. And I think if you take that kind of level of trust or culture of trust, and you push it down into individual teams and offices, that it allows that sort of just trust to kind of permeate the organization. So where we've seen people that don't work well and have moved on either by choice or by our decision, folks just don't buy into that trust, and they don't have a willingness to kind of develop a level of trust with their peers and teammates.
Okay. And so how do you decide like who, let go and who gets a promotion?
Um, yeah, so on reductions in force, which is the management one of the management terms for just getting fired. I think we've all kind of heard the same sort of lesson from mentors and former bosses. The best time to let somebody go is the first day that you think about it, or the first day you decide that they're going to go. There's not a lot gained by letting things linger. Now, human resources group have all sorts of rules about stuff like that, but again, it's not often due to performance that people are let go. It's really due to kind of cultural fit, and either an unwillingness to or a lack of wanting to buy into kind of the future strategy. And then where folks have performed well, or where we've found need for more people as the business has grown. Um, it's it's been pretty easy to hire folks just by nature of reputation. I think there's no secrets in life. So people that are young people such as yourself are coming out of undergrad or business school. Um, it's pretty easy for them to figure out kind of from a reputational standpoint what sort of organization they are thinking about becoming involved with, and we really don't have to sell ourselves all that often, which makes it easy in one way. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. So how do you think you talk about like the culture of the workplace and stuff? How do you think like friendships or like relationships inside, like with other coworkers, impact performance or just the workplace in general?
Yeah, I think workplace friendships are hugely important. I think there's a difference between a workplace friendship and kind of your personal friendships, right? And it's not to say one is less important than the other, but as you know, you've met some of my colleagues here in Memphis. Um, if you don't have that sort of collegial atmosphere and bond in the office, when things become really difficult, it just becomes really difficult to ask people to kind of give it that extra, because it's always like, well, what will this person do for me, when I need that extra support? And so I think it's hugely important. It really comes out when things are not going well. So when things are going well, kind of a rising tide lifts all ships, or whatever metaphor you want to use. Rising river covers all the rocks. When things are not going well, and you've got to have hard discussions about potentially letting people go or asking people to pick up, more responsibilities or jump into a project that they may not necessarily have done before, but have done something kind of complementary, where I trust them to kind of get into the unknown. That's where those sort of workplace friendships and relationships, really start to bear fruit.
And when you're like looking for a new employee, how do you like decide that this dude will fit in our workplace?
Yeah. So uh, I think each organization is unique and each role is unique. But for us, the self-starter thing is very real, right? I mean, just think about the conversations that you and I have, and I have with your siblings. Like, I don't want to have to come in on a Monday morning and start giving out to-do lists for the rest of the week, even if it's for people that have no professional experience, right? And so looking for someone that asks a lot of really good questions, looking for someone who's just honest, like brutally honest, like I've never done this before. I'm going to go try this and give it a shot, but would really like, your coaching and guidance once I've presented you with some initial feedback. A willingness to just do anything and everything initially because you learn something through everything you do. And so whether that is figuring out what sort of coffee people like when you travel with them and you can pick up a cup of coffee just to, get the day going, all the way to, what are senior members on the team reading at work or outside of work, just to give some perspective on what you might be doing as you grow in your career and tenure. Um, uh, you know, uh, Self-respect and respect for your common person goes a long way as well. I mean, treat others the way you want to be treated. It's noticeable. It's very real. One thing that I've seen, hiring people for the last 20 years and kind of higher financial roles or whatever is just sometimes there's some preconceived notion that because you graduated from certain schools and with certain degrees and are interviewing for certain jobs that you just know a lot more than everybody else and can't be farther from the truth. So just having that kind of level of humility and desire to learn really goes a long way.
All right. I mean, that was everything I had. So
What about for you? What's been challenging about interviewing people for this?
just coming up with questions, especially because we're not even supposed to lead the conversation. Supposed to just kind of ask questions and then carry it on from there.
Yeah, well, that's a great way to lead a conversation discussion is
Yeah,
come up with great
but
great questions. Yeah.
like ask questions based off their answers.
Yeah. Cool. Well, good work.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome, buddy. All right. Learn. Learn a lot.
All right.
See you
Bye.
later.